Welcome to football's Play to Win with Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith, Falcons All-Pro offensive tackle Bob Whitfield, Falcons All-Pro wide receiver Terrence Mathis, and your host, Nikki Williams.
Welcome back to another week of football's Play to Win, up here with our panel of experts, Bob Whitfield, Chuck Smith, Terrence Mathis, and man, there's been a lot going on week 3 of the NFL, and it looks like, Chuck, you're somewhere kind of special right now.
Yeah, I'm in Canton. I'm at the Hall of Fame, Nikki, but check this out. I'm here for a new program that the NFLPA, it's the NFLPA Academy for free agents. So here's what was real interesting about it. Man, we getting hit up real big time because remember, you got like the Titans and the Steelers aren't playing, players are getting injured. Everything's going on with the COVID. What we're doing here is we have the top free agents. We're getting them ready. And so when an NFL team needs a player, they just hit us up. So we have a database, they're training, that we're developing not only on the field, but in the weight room. So I'm the defensive line coach. So I got guys now that are going to get tryouts and that are getting ready. So it's really interesting that I'm here because one of the topics we're going to talk about is what's going on with the COVID, what's going on with all the injuries. So that's where I'm at. I'm up here in the Hall of Fame just cooling in Canton, Ohio.
Just cooling. Well, they're certainly lucky to have you out there, Chuck. I know you've got all the expertise that they could ever hope for. And while we've got you, I'm going to ask you for your expertise on what the biggest surprises have been so far as we walk into week 3.
I'll tell you the biggest surprise for me is the Dallas Cowboys at 1-2 and the Atlanta Falcons at 0-3. These are two teams that I thought at this point they would be teams that look like they're Super Bowl ready. But right now, they don't look like they're ready for the Super Bowl. They look like the toilet bowl, honestly. Atlanta, no confidence. Head coach right now, message has been absolutely muted. When you look at Dallas, to me, Dak Prescott hit all the negativity in the offseason. It's like God don't like ugly. So you see what the Cowboys have done with Dak to me, and it seems like all the negative things with this Cowboys team that been with Dak is coming back on Jerry Jones. The Falcons are absolutely, every year when I was in Atlanta, the Universal Soul Pop and Circus comes to the city, right down there near the airport in Atlanta. This Falcons team is being clowned. They're performing right now, okay? So really, when you look at these two teams, super disappointed in the Falcons, super disappointed in Dallas, man. Again, both of them got the gas face right now.
Hey, brother, add one more team to that gas face list. I'm going to tell you like this. You might think I look like Pepe Le Pew, but I'm about to put some stink on it right here. Houston. The Houston Texans under Bill O'Brien. He is the GM and the head coach. He makes all the decisions, and he was the one that traded away the number 1 receiver. He got rid of the number 1 receiver, Deshaun Watson's number 1 guy. He traded him away to Arizona. And now look what you got. 0-3 in Houston with Deshaun Watson after you give him $100 million. Bill O'Brien, head coach / GM. What are you doing down there, bruh? What are you doing? You're stinking up the joint. You're stinking up the joint.
Man, Bob, I don't know whether or not you're about to buy me a baguette or perform an operation on me. That's a look. Sorry, Terrence, go ahead.
Okay.
I would not want to be a New York Jet right now. Oh my God, that might be the god-awful team in the NFL right now. They hired a guy from Miami, had one stint in the playoffs, and they thought this was the new look of the NFL. Let's hire a young, pretty boy head football coach, and it would turn our program around. Obviously, he can't coach. Right now they don't have any talent. Sam Darnold has went backwards. He's not progressing. Right now, and I played in New York for 4 years, and I know what they're getting from them fans when they go out or in the newspaper. I know the New York Times is killing them right now. It's hard being a New York Jet right now.
Bob, I'm going to ask you this because there was a COVID outbreak with the Titans. So I want to know what that looks like going forward for the rest of the teams. Is this going to be a domino effect?
Well, it's definitely domino effect in the sense of what happened with protocols and procedures. So once there was an outbreak from the previous game. That team is on lockdown, and now all the trace testing is going on, and now you have to have enough players that you can have active, ready to go. So yeah, the NFL responds and they postpones, or they even looked at postponing a recent game, I think, with the Falcons for AJ Terrell to school, and he was tested positive. So the NFL responds swiftly, and they'll postpone games and push them later down in the week if those tests breaks out. But the biggest thing is that they try to contain those outbreaks so that players can stay back on the field and get healthy. And if they are testing positive, hey, they have to sit down.
Chuck, do you have any special insight?
Yeah, I think, Nikki, I just think this is going to be part of what we keep hearing, this cliche. I know y'all tried the new norm, the new norm, the new norm. I think.
And these challenging times.
Yeah, in these challenging times, and I think we are in these times. But I just think unprecedented, challenging time, new normal.
I hear it one more time.
I know. And I just think it's going to come down to
management. He's about to give it to you.
I think it's going to come down to management, guys. You know what I mean? Managing the situation. I think there are going to be different teams. It comes up, individuals, and it's going to have to be a protocol that what works has to be shared, and what doesn't work will also have to be shared, because I don't think that everyone has the answers. I'm living in a home where my son had COVID, right? I've had tracers call my house because other people had COVID, and they said that, hey, you might have been in the same building. So guys, this is part of, Nikki, what we getting tired of hearing, the new norm. It's going to touch everyone, whether you're a football player in some capacity, whether you get it or you don't. So, but I think it comes down, the words that, to me, that stand out the most is management in a situation that we still don't have all the answers. So that's, to me, going to be the most important, particularly when it comes to the NFL.
And Chuck, you bring up being in contact with people that have been tested positive for COVID. You haven't had it. Just an FYI, the Minnesota Vikings, who played the Titans, still have no positive COVID tests thus far. This disease is truly a baffling one, but just an FYI there. Moving on, I want to talk about Cam Newton at the Patriots. They've come such a long way in such a short time. I guess my question is, are they where they need to be to measure up to the Chiefs? Terrence, I'll start with you.
Of course they are. At the beginning of the season, people will say, is this a good fit for Cam? They don't think it's a good fit because of his personality, his character whatsoever. But he brought a little life to the New England Patriots. He's changed the culture a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, where they believe in him and they're going to play for him. And even Belichick is he's loosening up a little bit because of Cam Newton and the energy that he brings. I think that they're right where they want to be right now. And I think a lot of people were going to be down on them because of all the guys that opted out. But I don't know how this head coach keeps doing it. He keeps putting together players and that fits these players, and they buy into it and they play well. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are in trouble.
I tell you what, Belichick doesn't spend any time on is his wardrobe.
No, he don't.
He can cut off some sleeves. Hey, I can say this. I've been critical of Cam Newton because I felt that it wasn't him, it was the league, that a former MVP can be discarded and thrown away. But I see that Cam has definitely said he's going to do it all for the team. So he does stuff that I think most quarterbacks won't do. And I think that he puts his physical body on the line every game. And that's why he's having that level of success, because he is unyielding. He will be MVP this year, the way he's performing and the way he's trying to take that team to.
Wow.
I said MVP. I said MVP.
My mama.
I didn't say of which. I didn't say of the league, Chuck. I just said MVP.
You said of the team,
MVP
right?
of the Patriots.
That tweet might not age well.
The only MVP he's gonna be is most valuable player off the field with his gear. He a player. But real quick, both of y'all, let me tackle something real quick, Nikki. Nikki, I'm gonna need your help real quick, because this is gonna have to do with Terrence. Ask that question real quick with what you just asked Terrence about Cam Newton, about in the Patriots. Can you say that again to Terrence? I want you to ask it.
What did I just say?
You asked about Cam Newton.
Yeah, about whether or not he can measure up to the Chiefs.
Yeah, ask that again to Terrence. I'm gonna give him a get back because Terrence just said yes. Ask him again. I'm gonna give him a chance to get back before I put these hands on him. Ask him
All
again.
right, Terrence. Web redemption right now. Do you think Cam Newton has what it takes at this point to take on the Chiefs?
Yes, I do. I really do. I think
hold up. Okay, you done answered it. You said it one time.
I think he's in a system right now that fits where it's not about him putting up big numbers whatsoever. It's about controlling the football game. And as Chuck said today, the New England Patriots defense is legit. And it's about the defense. So that's why I say if Cam does not turn the ball over, don't make any boneheaded mistakes, they will win this football game.
And I did say, but I said Cam has been a game manager. The defense is getting better. Man, ain't no way in the world they measure up to Kansas City. Kansas City you got the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, who's putting up points at a record rate. No one has slowed him down. So my thing with Cam is you got to put up some points. They're not even in the conversation right now as far as overall when I'm thinking about if they were to play in the playoffs. So I gave you a get back. I appreciate you coming back and try to clear it up, but I had to, drop a little knowledge on you. Now on this other cat right here, Pepe Le Pew Pew, Bob, look at that hat, looking like a broke-ass Samuel Jackson up in here. So look, Bob just came out and talking about Cam for MVP? Dog, all I'm going to say is this, Bob, you had a lot of hits to the head, and I don't know what's going on under that hat, but there's no way. Right now, Cam Newton is not in the conversation for MVP. Look, right now, he's not even the MVP in his conference. Right, he's not even let alone the whole league. Josh Allen in Buffalo is the best one in the division in the AFC East. So I need to make sure, man. Nikki, I'm gonna go back to you, Nikki. I'm gonna do the Superman on the whoa and whatever the whoa, and I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna just let it go back to you. I had to get my former teammates together. the shit they just said is absolutely a disaster.
I was not. I'm saying MVP as far as the team's concerned, meaning that he brings the.
I thought he was going to say MVP stood for something else.
Most valuable.
MVP stand for bringing the energy.
Most valuable prophet here. That's what it stands for. The most valuable physician.
The most valuable. So, Bob, do you think that the Chiefs are that good? I mean, just how good are the Chiefs?
I mean, the Chiefs are excellent, but they're not invincible. And what Chuck has to realize is it will take a player like Cam to show up not only with a new hat on, a vibrant hat on, to show up with a game face on, that he will take his hat off and he's ready to go, bro. He's ready to go. That's what I'm saying. He's ready to go, bro. That's what Cam Newton does, man. And if you're gonna beat Kansas City, you have to have someone like Cam that has that energy, that inertia, that little thing, that little grudge match in his head to show up and really play the champs like they're chumps and really want to try to basically show why he is a true MVP.
When you cut your
Bob,
hair,
I'm gonna loan you. I'm gonna loan you some of my weave. This snaps out. I'm gonna mail it to you. Switching gears and
look at your face.
Keep that same energy.
He's still shocked.
Nikki, I ain't seen this
y'all look
hair like this since we was rookies in the NFL.
Well, he's been saving it for a special moment. Chuck, this is your area of expertise. I love when you get going on this stuff, talking about how the NFL is manipulating games in 2020. Fewer holding calls, faster games, more offense. How is this resonating with you right now?
Oh, what you see is the offense benefits from they look, Troy Vincent, the VP of over the NFL, their biggest thing is we want more safety. But what safety did for the defenses, Nikki, it made it where you can't be as physical. It's a lot easier for you to get a personal foul just by making touching an offensive player's helmet. the wide receivers have more of a free run. Terrence can elaborate on that. So it makes it harder for defensive backs to cover. There's so many rules, Nikki, that from a safety standpoint impact the defense, so it makes you more timid on defense. But you're right, scoring is up. They're building new superstars, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. You got Josh Allen. You got all these phenomenal quarterbacks that are benefiting, and the NFL's loving it because the NFL, right now in the NFL, it's almost like when you see the transition from Larry Bird, then Magic Johnson to Michael Jordan and some of those guys. What you're seeing is the transition of Patrick Mahomes. You're seeing Lamar Jackson. You're seeing the Tom Brady's and the Drew Breeses kind of fade because now the game has changed like the NBA changed, and they changed the game, and now it's a new generation. But you're exactly right, Nikki. The NFL's got what it wants, and it started with, it has a lot to do with the safety issues that benefit the offense.
Hold on, Chucky. You got to remember, you were one of the reasons that they implemented safety rules. The Brett Favre rule, because Chuck was definitely an awesome pass rusher, and one of the things was you get him at all costs, all chances. So, right. You can't hit the quarterback low. Now you can't, go back and block backwards and all that. So some of these safety rules are because of the physical nature of the game, but we got to just look at it from the fan point of view. We like the end zone dances. We see that even with no fans, they did something for the fans and put a big camera in the end zone just so the players can go up and do a little dance and do a little shake a little tail feather. And what it means is that the league wants more scoring. They want to build stardom through the quarterback. So scoring is king. So defense, hey, you're going to have to suffer because touchdowns bring dances. Dances bring TikTok challenges. TikTok challenges bring new fans. And I'm all for new fans. TikTok, TikTok, hip hop.
And to piggyback off what Chuck said about the receivers, it's an entertainment league. And like you said, they want to score points. And they're making it where at the end of the day, these receivers, you're making average receivers look great. You get rookie receivers that come in the league and put up big numbers. When you can't touch a receiver after 5 yards, it's hard for a defensive back to cover. It's really hard. And then once he catches the ball, you got to decide how I'm going to hit him. However I hit him, I might get a flag. And now you're missing tackles whatsoever. And, you would think I would be for this, but that's not fun to watch when guys are just running free and you can't hit them and you can't touch them. I want to see some gamemanship with receivers and DBs.
You were reading my mind, Terrence. I was coming for you for that player's perspective. I'm like, yeah, the league loves it. The fans think it's exciting. What if you're a player? And you're right. There's a balance of power. Some players are going to love it, and other players, they're at a huge disadvantage.
Well, I think it's going to catch up. I think defense is going to have to change. Players going to change, and it's going to catch up to the offense, and then they'll find some other way to do other things. Now you're going to go to flag football. So whatever it is,
that's what I said.
At some point, football. The defense is going to get smart enough. The defense is going to get smart enough to stop these wide receivers running free.
And speaking of defense, what is wrong with the Cowboys defense? Is it more than one thing? I mean, they've given up 97 points. That's the most in franchise history. League-wide, only the Vikings and Falcons have given up more. So, I mean, what are in the mechanics of everything? What's going wrong? Chuck, you're already shaking your head, so I'm going to go to you. Bob, you're rolling your eyes. You're next.
Nikki, to me, this has to do with scheme. Dallas was a traditional 4-3, and for anyone that's watching, the 4-3 defense is 4 defensive linemen that have their hands down and 3 linebackers. So now they're running a 3-4 defense with 3 down linemen. And let me tell you what makes that important. DeMarcus Lawrence, who is their top defender, who's traditionally a 4-3 defensive end, he has his hand down. And now they've converted him into a 3-4 defense. 3-4 linebacker standing up. So what that has affected his ability to generate pass rush because he's a better pass rusher down. So subsequently, everyone talks about the Cowboys defense. The way you have the best defenses have a great pass rush. So I don't care who you got back there covering. If your scheme doesn't fit the players, right? You got to make sure the players are comfortable and have an opportunity to do their best, Nikki. So to me, that has a lot to do with it. Now I'm starting to me with the scheme of the Cowboys, and DeMarcus Lawrence stands out big.
Well, you got DeMarcus Lawrence on one side, Chuck, but don't forget Alden Smith on the other side, who just came off of stay-at-home orders for the last 3 or 4 seasons, who's really having a nice comeback year. I think he's leading the league in sacks. So I think when they do get opportunity to go third and long and actually rush the passer out of a 4 down, they can generate enough pressure on the quarterback. But it's what you do in the 3-4 on those first 2 downs where you might have to stop a run or get second and long. So it's one of those things that it's not the same Dallas squad that, like Chuck pointed out, but with injuries at linebacker and you going to a dominant linebacker scheme, you don't know what to expect. So I will expect to see more 4 down because they will have to just change it up a little bit, mix it up a little bit, maybe nickel on first down, add an extra safety or something.
Like you said,
Terrence,
Bob,
you think it's just a switch it, change it, rearrange it?
Well, I think the 2 guys in the middle that's injured is hurting them a lot. And like you alluded to, Alden Smith had a great week, and I think he got snubbed for being NFC Defensive Player of the Week. But at the end of the day, man, like Chuck said, when you go from one defense to the next, and your best guy is standing up, that's a transition that you have to make. And I think Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, is going to have to figure something out quick.
Do you think that they can rebound against the Browns, Terrence?
They better. They better. But at the end of the day, the Browns are playing with confidence. Nick Chubb is running the ball well, and that's going to be the Cowboys' Achilles heels because they can't stop the run. And when you have injury to your linebacker situation, especially in the middle, you're susceptible to the run. So I think that you stop the force Baker Mayfield to throw the football up and down the field. You have a chance to win that football game.
2-1, can it happen, Bob?
Myles Garrett, isn't that the team Myles Garrett plays for? And isn't that the Dallas O-line that has an undrafted free agent out of Texas Tech? So it's one of those games. If we're just talking about head-to-head matchups, this is one of those games that a defensive end like Chuck knows, he salivates. Oh, give me an undrafted free agent tackle that has been giving up pressure like Terrence still has, who is on a great offensive line of Dallas, but he is the weakest link, and that weakest link may get exposed in that Cleveland game. Myles Garrett is going to try to run up the sack totals.
Now, this is a really interesting team when you look at Cleveland. They got top picks all across the board. You got Nick Chubb doing a fantastic job. This is the Cleveland Browns are 500, right? They're 2-1. It's just this Browns team is intriguing. Baker Mayfield, he's got so much potential. You got OBJ, you got Landry, you got all this talent. And the division they're in has the Steelers, has the Ravens. It's tough. And I'll tell you this, they are being built to compete against the Steelers in that same mold. I'm just telling you, they're trying to build from the defense. They got some studs being built in the mold of the Baltimore Ravens. And what's intriguing to me is Nick Chubb and all the hype of all the stuff that goes on that we're talking about. Bob's talking about Myles Garrett. We're talking about Baker Mayfield. The best player, in my opinion, most consistent this year has been Nick Chubb. This Cleveland team has a tough route because they're in the AFC North with the Ravens and the Steelers. But depending how things fall, when you look at Pittsburgh, injury here, there, a loss, or this could be really interesting in the end when you look at the race. I'm really intrigued by this Cleveland Browns team, Nikki.
So I want to just have a candid conversation here about rookies in 2020 and our own kind of version of rankings, and not in the conversation yet, but of course, right at the top, Joe Burrow over at the Bengals. I mean, we're watching his development right before our eyes. Obviously, a lot of expectations put on him. Bob, I'll start with you here. What do you think so far of what you've seen of Joe Burrow?
Well, I definitely think that they equipped him with some talent. You definitely bring in some players, some gear he has to work with. I think the head coach is an offensive-minded guy, and he's going to give him all the things that he needs to use his best tools. But I think it's Joe Burrow that demands that he's going to win some games, and I think that his tenacity is what's keeping him in the games. But like Joe Burrow said, he got to take fewer hits. He's standing in there, so sometimes hey, you want to be the tough little rookie guy, but sometimes you got to know, hey, you need to duck sometimes. Sometimes that sack is imminent. You can dodge a few, but I think Joe Burrows is going to handle himself, but I don't think they're going to win any games this year, but I think he's going to be a good player.
We know LSU misses him.
Oh my goodness, Terrence. It stands out so much. T and Bob, Nikki. To me, it just winner. I feel like I'm a good judge of character and the guy's competitive level and what a winner looks like. Joe Burrow right now looks like a winner in Cincinnati. I mean, he's making great plays. I look at his composure. I just look at how he handles himself. And,
who they gonna beat, Chuck?
Well,
who they gonna beat?
We're not talking about who they're going to be. Nikki, what was the question again? To make sure we might need to remind Bob. The question
I know. Stay focused.
He's a winner. Who you going to beat?
I understand. I'm already warmed up from a debate I saw the other day with somebody that won't let me finish my comments. So
Chuck does this. Chuck, you have such a good eye. You are answering the question the right way. Bob?
Hey, yeah, I'm just out here just chirping from the side. Maybe, in the next debate we had to cut the mic off. But anyway, let me finish, Nikki, so Bob don't interrupt me again. So, anyway, T, I was just saying I love his DNA. He's confident. I just like watching him, and he's worthy of the number one pick so far. He looks to me like he's going to be a really good player, particularly, as things continue to develop for him. What you think, T?
Well, a year ago we talked about Burrows, Tua, and Herbert out of Oregon, who's playing at Miami right now. And I remember, Chuck, you laughed at me, and I said, Herbert is probably arguably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the nation. You said, oh, shut up, T, he's not that good. And this guy, he is playing phenomenal for the Chargers right now. Now, with these 2 young quarterbacks, they may not win a lot of games, but guess what? They're getting experience. You only can get experience if you're playing Miami with Tua. Why is Tua sitting on the bench? Why is he sitting on the bench unless he's not healthy? But at the end of the day, the only way you get better and you learn the game is by playing. Tua can't get better standing on the sidelines watching and say, oh, I might have did this, or I might have, oh yeah, I get it. I feel the speed. No, he got to get hit a few times and feel the speed of the game to get better. And that's what Joe Burrows is doing and Herbert is doing in LA with the Chargers.
Chuck, did you have something to add? I saw your hand go up. Yeah.
It's like in school, virtual school.
Yeah.
Did y'all just notice T Matt went back to last year? You've been carrying that little thing on your shoulder about.
I've been waiting. I keep my pocket stay full, bro. My pocket stay full.
Hey, that's all I had to say, Nikki. I was just checking to see my boy. He was holding something, in that pocket for me.
I got something to say. One more thing.
Oh boy.
Hey, you got to give us. We always look at the quarterbacks, and there was a lot of rookie quarterbacks that's seeing some action, but there's also some dominant players. One that running back from Kansas City, Edwards-Helaire, and then CeeDee Lamb is getting a lot of rise at Dallas, catching some balls. So we got to look at them. And I mentioned this guy, undrafted free agent Terrence Stevens, who's right tackle for Dallas, who's learning on the fly. Even though he's gave up some pressures, I think he gave up a sack, but learning on the fly, he's in the toughest position, I think, out of all the guys.
Hey, was Helaire sitting there at 15 when the draft came up this past year? Was he still sitting there?
You saying the Falcons could have scooped him?
Well, didn't we need a running back at that time? I'm just saying, bro.
I mean, the Falcons had a couple running back options at that time. They could have stayed with
Devontae
Freeman.
I was like the coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. Well, hey.
They threw away one knee for another knee.
And like the movie says, until you do right by me.
Ain't that the truth?
Think about it,
It's
dude.
a curse that's on their
Open themselves up for it.
Right by the old guys, the guys that have, phrased the term dirty birds, and until they get right, until they do right by us, I feel that they got that little thing on them right now.
Well, Terrence, you were talking about players needing to have the time, not riding around on the bench. When we think about the bench, we got to address Chase Young over in Washington, plagued with injuries, but where do we see him in his development? Chuck, I'm going to start with you on that.
Oh, I see Chase Young. His development is stunted a little bit because of an injury, but I think he's already game ready. He came out of Ohio State. He was taught by the best D-line coach in college football, Bill Johnson. He's tall, he's athletic, he's long, has all the measurables. But one of the most important measurables he has is intelligence. He's skilled. I mean, listen, Chase Young's an absolute beast. Pairing him with Montez Sweat with the Washington Redskins. Chase Young has a bright future, and Washington was smart to pick him at that spot last year.
Yeah, I like what you said, Chuck. He was football ready. He was NFL ready coming out of Ohio State. And that's why you see these rookies excelling. They're in programs that are kind of NFL programs and systems. So when they step into the NFL, the terminology may change a little bit, but they're still doing the same things.
That's right. That's real.
So, Bob, I'm going to start with you here and just ask a really simple, what are you most excited about? What storyline has you jazzed up the most this week? He's thinking in that big hat.
I do. I mean, the biggest storyline that I see is of these 0-3 teams, which one's going to get off the schneid? Who's going to have that win? Is it going to be an Atlanta team, veteran quarterback Matt Ryan taking the helm, figuring it out with Dan Quinn, or is it going to be a Houston? Which one of these 0-3 teams is going to show up this week? I definitely know which one of my other teams it won't be, and that's the Jersey. It's the red one. Normally we go out there in Giants blue, but the Giants is the one that, because they're stinking it up at 0-3, and they got Danny Dimes at quarterback that's not lighting it up, they got to figure a lot of things out in New York. So which one of these 0-3 teams going to go this week and pull out a victory? I said the best chances of it right now, just off the cuff, I don't think any of my squads I mentioned, Atlanta or the Giants, they both got tough matchups coming up.
I hope you're wrong about Atlanta. Chuck?
To me, Cam Newton, and let me tell you why. I want to see how he plays. Basically, to me, I think he's going to have to play big and throw the ball because they're going against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a big storyline for me. Just how does this New England defense, young defense, that's a top 5 defense, perform against Patrick Mahomes? Is the pass rush for real for New England? And then as I'm talking about New England, can Cam Newton play? How does he play against a top 5 defense? Because this is where Cam's going to have to figure it out. Because the one thing we haven't been able to figure out from this New England Patriots offense, who's the wide receivers? Who's Cam going to throw to? So the Cam Newton Kansas City thing, and you notice, y'all, I ain't said nothing about Kansas City, what I'm expecting from them, because I know what to expect. A swarming defense and Patrick Mahomes putting up points, because guess what, y'all? He's my fantasy quarterback in my family league this year. Patrick Mahomes on 5.
Oh, man, you over there riding, man. Oh, man. You going to kiss him on the forehead before he goes to the game? Come on, Patrick Mahomes.
Come on, man.
You's a sucker, dog. You's a sucker.
Terrence, you want to fill us in on your fantasy league?
I got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So I can't go wrong. I mix them up every week, and I'm getting big points right now in my fantasy league.
What are you most excited about this week? What's your favorite storyline?
I don't think I'm excited about anything this week. What's the biggest storyline this week is Case in New York, O'Brien in Houston, and Dan Quinn in Atlanta. Those are going to be the big storylines coming starting Monday to see how they get their teams ready to play and if they're going to be around after their bye weeks.
What do you think's going to happen with Dan Quinn?
Look,
you know what?
I don't think. No,
This is what I said. I don't think Arthur does anything. The reason why I don't think he does anything because you're not playing in front of 70,000 screaming fans and hearing the boos whatsoever. He's really not losing any money in attendance right now. So it's a business thing. You know, I think he lets it ride out and see what happens. I think he's loyal to a fault. Honestly, I think he's loyal
I agree
to a
with
fault.
that.
You guys have said several times, you know, Blank needs to stay off the sidelines. He needs to stay out of this. How does not having fans affect? I mean, do you think that that's going to kind of feed into that want that everybody seems to have to keep him away from the sidelines?
I don't think that has nothing to do with it, Nikki. That's one thing that I disagree with what Terrence just said. I don't think fans in the stands has anything to do with Arthur Blank firing him. I don't think it has anything to do with them booing. I think that right now the facts remains Arthur Blank has put the money together and put this team together because he's expecting to be Super Bowl caliber. So I think what's happening now, their record speaks for itself. The last couple years, the record speaks that there needs to be change. And from my perspective, I think that the Falcons do need to move on from Dan Quinn. I think they need to start looking at the bigger picture because could Dan Quinn turn this team around if he gave him more time? Yeah, but also it could, take this thing to another level of badness or negativity. Badness is not a word. I don't know, whatever it is. But I just think Dan Quinn is not the answer. But I just think the Falcons need to move on. But the hard part is, when do you do it? What I do is I'm making a statement. If you lose this week, I'm dropping a hammer and saying we have high expectations. The Atlanta Falcons organization wants to win Super Bowls. Right now, we're not on track for that. We're going to transition our coach and see if the next guy can get it done. That's my plan if I'm the owner, and I hope Arthur can do that.
Lighting a fire under him.
And I think what you just said, Chuck, fans will accept that. If he says it with that boldness whatsoever, we're built to win Super Bowls, and I demand a Super Bowl, so I'm gonna make a change. I think fans will appreciate that more than just saying, "Well, let's wait and see." Let's give it time. That's we don't want to hear that no more.
Well, guys, it's such a unique opportunity to be able to hang out with you, get the players' perspective, kind of get some inside intel. Chuck is always in the know of everything. And of course, the conversation continues online. Come heckle us, come mess with us online. We love to interact with all of our fans. Let's see if we're right, if we're wrong, whatever. We know we'll have some fun. And we're going to have more fun next week. So we'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining us for another week of Football's Play to Win. Thanks, guys.